Hey, Rahubat, now how's that family this evening?
Everything, Doc. Everything is everything.
All right.
I got a question
Mm-hmm.
pertaining to the outer body.
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. Now, is the astral body a carbon copy of the physical body without the death? Meaning, does the astral body have form?
Yes. Let me say it. Let's reverse that. What it is that the astral body is the blueprint for the physical form, right? And all the physical form is, in other words, everything is made of the same substance vibrating at different frequencies. That's all it is. The body is just a denser copy of the spiritual form, okay?
Right, because when the astral body leaves the physical body, then that form, I just want to know, is that form, can that form be seen?
It can be seen by people that have their third eye or trained to have their third eye open, and they have that perceptive ability. In other words, it can't be seen. In other words, it's the same thing as you have 50 people standing outside. There's a craft right in front of them. 7 people see it, 43 people don't see it. It's not that it's not in front of all people, but it's only visible to the 7 that are vibrating on that frequency, that have their third eye open. Like some people in your family can see ghosts. They always mention it. They always see crafts, etc., right? And the other people don't. No. And the others don't, right? Now, everybody's got physical eyes. Everybody has a third eye. But it's dormant in many people because they don't use it. You understand what happens to a bat that stays in a cave, or evolves for maybe 10,000 years in a cave, and eventually, when they come out in the light, what happens with their eyes? Through the apathy of not using them. That he's blind as a bat, right? It's not that if you do check the anatomy of a bat, they have eyes. So nature's not so defunct as to have each and every one of them handicapped, right? So in order for the whole species to have eyes and be blind, just because they haven't been using them. So what happens is that over a period of time, that as enocytes, we've been asleep under this physical spell that we haven't been using or having random access to our higher senses with the removal of the barytheric gland. And then so that sleep in us is just that ability or that vision, that sight, the pineal gland is dormant inside of us now. That's all. So that everybody can now see. I've been ever since I was a child, I could see auras and etc. like that, right? In fact, the first time that I saw aura that I can remember and recollect is that after I had a out of body experience and I floated across the ceiling, etc. I saw my mother laying down and I sit in my favorite chair at the picture when this was in Michigan. At night, and I was looking out at the snow. I was going to call myself sitting in my favorite chair, but when I sit down, I realized that I was looking at the wall, and I know my height. I'm usually supposed to look at the window, so when I looked down, I was shocked to find I didn't have a physical body. So I shot back to my body because I got scared looking at the door thinking, what would happen if I slipped outside like the helium balloon in the circus and couldn't stop going up, right? Well, that next day, I saw her standing at the kitchen sink singing gospels, and there was a big blue aura around her, real bright and clear, and so I walked over to her. And I told her, I said, Mama, this is a thought world, and one day everybody's going to have real big heads. And she just looked at me and said, yeah, baby, I know. Now, another example that I think everybody could identify with is, I'm sure that Elder that's on the phone, he's had experiences walking with the Master. I've been with him over 37 years myself. So I know that the first time that I went to Brooklyn, I was acting Imam in San Diego. And in 81, when I went to meet him physically, I had been studying for, been Imam and studying for years, but when I went to physically meet him, the first time I saw him walk through the door when the Imam was teaching, I didn't identify him as the guy that was dressed in royal regalia that's on the pamphlets, etc. He came in with a plain white jalabia on, and it just seemed like a kind of a small, little dark man. He didn't look particularly well dressed like with robes and etc. Like the trumpets and the fanfare that I thought I was preparing myself to see. So I didn't know it was him. But what I thought was unusual about this guy that I saw was that from him emanated this light, an amber light that was so big. And it was the big, I've seen auras before, but this thing, it permeated the whole room. It penetrated the wall, so I really don't know yet where it ended, right? And then there was another aspect of him that I never saw this in anybody. I saw this in one person, but not to that extent. I could see the strength just emanating from him. And it wasn't earthly strength. But the best perception I have of it is that spiritually, if he was to get hit by an 18-wheeler, his feet wouldn't even slide. It was strength like that I could see his strength. And it brought to mind the scripture, when the description of the Lamb in Revelation, that the sun shineth in the strength of his countenance or something, and to that effect, right?
One day I decided to share that experience, that powerful experience with my father, rest his soul, before he passed while we were home in New Orleans. And he listened very carefully. An old Indian man, you know, he's very serious. He looked at me and into me, he said, "Son, you saw that all right, but that came from you." He had me for a while till I remembered. "Oh, you mean because I thought it was him and I anticipated that before I got there?" Yeah. But the point is I didn't know it was him. No, I saw it all right. Yes, it happened. That's it. I saw the exact same thing that John saw on the Isles of Patmos. The same thing. When he was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. That's a fact.
But, yeah, that was quite an experience. And so I've always been like that. And then afterward, you know, he kept asking me my name, et cetera. I wrote it down. And then I was led by him down a hallway. When everybody was going to the masjid next door for Salat, you know, or going to the masjid for Salat, I went into a special room with him. And then I stood behind him. He asked me to do everything that he did. And so when we went down into Jalsat, prostration, and et cetera, into the different positions, when I came back up, when I raised my head up, and then I stood up, the room was gone. I mean, it was all light. All the walls and floors, everything was just light, soft white light. I mean, there was no structure to the room, no floors, walls, or ceiling, so I was standing there really confused and afraid, right? So he looked back at me and he said, "Are you all right?" I said, "I don't know." You know, water was coming out of one of my eyes at least, you see. And then we went back down into the prostration again, and I was praying this time seriously and earnest that this room returned, because I was scared to walk back up or move or whatever, because, but I could hear children singing, like children singing. And beautiful singing, like. And so when I stood back up, the room was back again, right? And so I started looking at my watch to figure out how I could catch this jet to hurry up before the room goes away again and get back to San, because I was really afraid, right? I was confused and afraid. But as I was on the jet flying back to San Diego, I noticed that everybody was on the plane. I was looking at Golden Pond on the movie. Everybody on the plane was turning around staring at my face, right? So I kept going to the bathroom, looking at you. I was confused about that. Then when I got to the airport, coming down the escalator, one of the brothers that I think is on the phone right now. Are you on the phone, brother? I mean, from San Diego?
I'm here. The Imam's face was lit up like the sun.
Anyway, when I was coming down the escalator, he looked up at me and he said, "Imam, your face is shining, your face is lit up, right?" So I was still confused about that. So when they brought me home, I went back to my back bedroom, and I was sitting down in the bathroom, and it was getting twilight, and the sun was just about down. And I happened to look into, I had a mirrored wall in front of the toilet, in the semi-dark there. I looked at my face, and it was just like those radium dials, it was really lit up, in the glass, in the thing. And I was staring at that, and I was really awed by that. I was staring at that, and then, but, at that time, I was in another life, so I lit something up. And when I flicked my brick and lit it, the light went out, so I said, "Oh, they don't like that," to myself, right? But I've always seen, like, light beings and crafts and oars and things like that. Now, I don't know why that is, right? But I've had some serious experiences with him. I know one time, the next time I went to him, after he gave me the, what to be, the faith and detail, and I did that, that he was sitting on like a throne. I was sitting in front of him. He was sitting on a big chair, and I was sitting in front of him, and I noticed, I looked at the ring, the star and crescent ring. It was on his left hand. And you could see the stripes on his cheek, and then I sort of marked prostration on his forehead, but this ring on his left hand, this thing kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. This ring started getting really big, So I looked at him, and I looked at the ring, because I had one like it on my finger. I had one that had me an Asaru ring, right? So, and it was different from the ring he brought me back from Sudan, the one that he gave me out of Jalabia pocket that I still have on my finger right now. That he gave me with this book, Muhammad Ahmed, the Only True Mahdi, right? But the point was that when I asked, I said, "Why is your ring so much bigger than mine?" And he looked at me, and he had big white teeth, and he just smiled like that, and he said to me, "I've had it a very, very long time," And that's just some of the odd things that I've experienced in walking with the Master, you see. And that's some of the many things I've experienced. And what I'm trying to do is invoke a vibration in you all that'll generate some spiritual thoughts inside of you. So let's start with some questions again. Who's got that first?
I got a question.
I'll do my best. Let me hear it.
Question?
Yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. My question is, what's the difference between going to sleep and dreaming, or is there a difference between just going to sleep, falling asleep, dreaming, and an out-of-body feeling?
Well, you call one lucid dreaming. Out-of-body experience is when a person has the perception that, for example, they can stand on the side of their bed and then look down at their body. It creates the impression of bilocation, like that their spirit is one place and their body is in another, right? But ultimately, yes, you're right, it is the same thing. Because if I ask you right now, if you close your eyes, can you see yourself in your mind? What would you tell me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Now could you see yourself laying in your bed inside your mind if you wanted to?
Yes.
Okay, so you see, you can do it right there. So whether there's no such thing as out of body because there's no such thing as out there. Everything is in your mind. This is a mental universe, a thought existence. There is no out there. You see, I am in all in what?
All is in me.
If all is in you, what's outside of you?
Nothing.
Nothing is outside of you. Are you following me? In other words, when the Master Teacher said that you're the center of existence, and I'm the center of existence, and all things are equal distance from us, right? And then he's our cook, he's the axis. That means the center, right? So if he's the center in Colorado, and you're the center in Detroit, and I'm the center in Georgia, and the center's in the same place, the only way that statement could be true is if everything is in the same place at the same time. The next statement he made is that everything is equal distance from you, right? So anytime that just the phone in your hand and the moon is the same distance, they'd have to be in the same place at the same time, right? So to review, it's no different than if you were laying down and taking a nap and you went to sleep. And while you dream, you were in California, you were in New York, you were a 5-year-old child, you were riding your bike for the first time without falling. It's not just, remember, because you dreamed things and 10 days later you saw something play out, you told the person next to you, I saw this in my dream a week ago, so you can't remember the future. So you see these things in the future, in the past, in this state and that state, at different stages of your life, and you meet people sometimes that you have no physical recollection of. So the question would be, is that when you start waking up, you have to realize that your head never left the pillow. So where was all that happening? Where was all that happening? All this traveling, all these people, all these situations, all these different locations. Where was that at, actually? Okay, so now, the thing is, what that confuses you is when you wake up, supposedly, physically, because it's only a dream anyway, remember? Is that when you open your physical eyes, then you buy into the illusion. You understand? In other words, you labor under the misconception that that's reality. In other words, when you go to sleep at night and you dream, you think that that's a phantasmagoria, that's a fantasy. And then when you wake up in the morning, when you open your eyes in your room and you think that's solid, actual, and time-bound, then that's reality. But the truth is when you're dreaming, the place that you're in right now, that becomes the dream. Because you are wherever your consciousness is, wherever your awareness is, right? There is no such thing as physical form, period, right? Because everything in physical existence is created of atoms. We agree. Okay, now the question is what's the content of atoms? What are atoms composed of? Really?
Molecules.
No molecules are composed of atoms, but I feel what you're saying. You're trying to say they're composed of subatomic particles like protons, electrons, and neutrons, right?
Right.
But what those are not particles of matter. Those are charges. Electrons are negative electric charges, protons are positive electric charges, and neutrons are neutral electric charges. So the question is energy matter, yes or no?
Energy?
Is energy matter?
No.
No, that's exactly right. So if atoms are not made of matter, and then basically they're just empty space, 99.9% empty space. In other words, the content of an atom is such that if the core of it was the center of the planet Earth, the size of a basketball, right, at the nucleus of it, and that the first electron, the first K shell, you have the first K shell, it have 2 electrons, you have 8 electrons in the second K shell, so it makes it a microcosm of a miniature solar system, right? So the first electron that would be closest to the nucleus would be on the edge of the perimeter of the Earth, right? The diameter of the planet Earth is like 6,000 miles, am I right?
Right.
Okay, so how far away would that first electron be away from that basketball if the basketball was in the center of the earth? So are you following me? In other words, I'm saying that the nucleus is just energy, just trace energy, and the electrons are trace energy, and all the rest of it is just empty space. Are you following me?
Right.
So that an atom is not constructed of anything physical at all. Now, and you can research this on the computer, but you can ask anybody that you want. This is fact. That's established fact, right? So now that we understand that atoms are not solid matter, and everything that you consider solid matter is constructed or made of atoms, do you have any solid matter?
No.
Okay. See, so all it is that energy transference, or energy in transit, because first is the thought that creates the energy that acts upon the shapes and forms of matter. Because anything that you can conceptualize, you can visualize, materialize, and thereby realize. Did you hear me?
Right.
Anything that you can conceptualize. Now, when you say, well, are you telling me that everything's made of my thought? Well, how is it that I can reach out and touch this book and feel it? Right? And the same way you achieve orgasm, making love to a woman in your dream, and you wake up in the bed is physically empty.
Uh-huh.
You felt that?
Right.
Okay.
Now, you also touched on another point that I was trying to understand too as well. The fact of, okay, you know, when you sleep, you're dreaming, or so you think, but then you wake up in the morning. What's the difference between waking up or how do you wake up in the dream?
Now that's what you have to do. That's the trick. That's what you have to learn to do. That's what the master is trying to instruct us to do too. You have to learn to wake up in the dream. In other words, become conscious of the fact that you're in an alternate reality. Are you following me?
As I am right now.
Yes, because it is as real, right, as this right now, right? And the last time I had an out-of-body experience that I can recall in vivid detail, I was traveling through some woods, right? And this was a couple of days ago, and I was traveling. There was a lot of leaves on the ground everywhere. It was out in some woods, and there was some people with me, and I was so enamored about where we were, I didn't even focus on who I was with, who was with me. I didn't even look down at my own hand and my own body, but it was a big, long tent. We had a lot of supplies in it, etc. I remember the detail was vivid. It was startling, right? So I was so immersed in the moment that I never thought about where I was or who was with me, because a lot of times you'd be fascinated to find, if you walk and find a mirror when you're traveling like that even though you know it's you have a different physical appearance. Are you following me? Yeah. So, but at that point, that becomes your reality, because then, you see, if you're there, then you can't be here. Understand that you can't think of two things at one time. Like, you can move your mind quickly between the thoughts. Are you following me? The example that the master gave in the mind book is that a woman doing a mundane chore like washing dishes, she's feeding the baby and talking on the phone and looking out the window, she's imagining that she's doing all these three tasks at the same time, when in reality, she's moving quickly between the two, and thus slowing down her hands, and ultimately the outcome of the work at the speed that she completes it. Because your mind can only be in one place at a time. So if your mind is there, then it's not here. Are you following me? And you talk to your kids, they standing in front of you, and they like, you saying, did you hear me? Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, I heard you. Then you know that they're not listening. Their mind is at work. So you tell them, say, look, that pink elephant just walked behind you. They say, Daddy, I hear you. That's right. Nigga, please. I don't know where your mind is, but you better bring it back to me. You heard me, like I say. I know your body's here with me, but your mind's on the other side of town, because wherever your consciousness is, that's where you are. Yeah? So if right now, if you all take this simple exercise and imagine yourself as a child riding your bike for the first time without falling, you remember how excited you were when you were going all the way to the end of the block and you didn't fall, you know what I mean? Y'all can put yourself back where you can feel the wind, and you can get so involved in the scene that you can feel the humidity in the air. You can see what season it was, who was there with you, what color the bike was. If you start going into more and more detail, you get more and more involved in that scene, in that situation, in that time and place than you are in this one. Because you have to remember that they're all going on simultaneously. That's what the master means by coming at your gift from your past to your future. Are you following me? Because that little boy that was you, or that little girl that was you, is still riding that bike. Are you hearing me?
Right.
Right. And you were looking back at yourself from there at that point, but weren't conscious of it. In other words, there's no such, just like there's no here and there's no now and then either. So that there's nothing new. Everything's going on simultaneously, so that not only is the past available to you from here, but when you were that little child riding that bike, you actually existed as an adult looking back at that child at that time too. Are you following me?
And that's another thing. Just brought another thing that I was also contemplating on as well. I can go back and see myself as a child, like you say, riding that bike or whatever experience I'm having. But I guess to see myself further down, so to speak, in the future.
You've done it.
Yes.
Yes, you've done it. See, in other words, you're the man that saw tomorrow. You just wasn't cognizant of it. Because when I told you before that you've laid down and had dreams or visions, right? And then 3 days later, you were talking to somebody and something played out in front of you. The cab pulled up and the woman got out and she dropped the person, the monthly, and you told the person next to you, say, man, I saw this in my dream 3 days ago. Right? Remember that?
I did that.
Yeah, see? So what did you do? In essence, you saw the future. Are you following me?
Right.
Right. You see, so in other words, I'm just giving you a small example to let you know that you are capable of that. Because your mind is the middle reservoir. You are all. In other words, the way the master teacher answers all questions is when he raises his vibration till he becomes one with all again. And then how much information does he have access to? That's right. Because, for example, when a person is when they have random access to their four highest senses, and they for example, their third eye is open, that's another word. What can a person see with the third eye? As opposed to the physical eyes that are restricted to the parameters of the room, to the floors, walls, and ceiling. You can't see through the walls but he can see what's under the paint on the wall, and I know he can because I saw, like I told y'all, a woman walking down the stairs one time in the broad daylight in New Orleans, and I looked up at her and I saw her skeleton. Yeah, he can see under the paint on the wall. He's serious about that, and so can you. It depends on what conscious vibration you frequency that you vibrate on. That's all it is. In other words, when you're using your third eye, another word for it is the one-seeing eye. So what can you see with that? And what can you answer when you in that mental state?
Everything.
That's right, exactly. Because I am one with all and what?
All in one.
That's not part of the questions. That's all of them. That's not part of the answers. That's all of them.
I got an experience.
And then you can be the man who saw tomorrow. Yeah, let me hear. Again, because there's nothing that you don't know. I can't teach you anything. For example, I'm trying to get you to remember things that you've forgotten because it was you and me that fell from building pyramids to picking cotton. It's time to wake up again for the reawakening of the leaf you to 144th. Go ahead. What's the question?
Okay. That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful, marvelous. Sublime, all those wonderful.
I love you, family. It's real. It's real. I mean, we God, and it's really real.
Mm-hmm. I want to. I remember the so-called movie they got out of What's Mine. But what I wanted to ask was about deja vu.
Yeah.
And the deja vu, I heard some beeping. That's what
yeah. Okay.
But anyway.
Thank you.
The master teacher said that a lot of times, he actually said that we have been here 7 times. The ones that was here before 1970. That we have been
of course, because there'll be about 19,000 coming after 1970 that won't even see gray hair for their first incarnation here. But yes, there's been 124,000 prophets, 315 apostles, 113 messiahs, and 1 Mahdi here already. That's almost 144,000, which is equal to the number of pastors they had on the bureau when you add the 19,000 to them after 1970, right? Of course, you've been here before.
So deja vu, it seems to me when I first deja vu, I don't know if you had, I probably so. It seems like when you're in that scene, deja vu scene, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Let me see. I did this before. It's something I'm supposed to do. You're trying to figure it out before it goes away.
Okay, I mean, I've had, for example, this is something that you've experienced. You're standing in a bright living room with the light real bright, and then it looks like everybody's sitting around on couches and they talking. There's a conversation that gets intense. You stand under this bright light, and then all of a sudden things slow down for you. And then when they start talking, you know what everybody's about to say next because you've experienced this scene before. But you don't say anything because you got a feeling that as soon as you do, that's going to break the flow, and they're going to start talking about something different. So you just sit back and experience it. So the question is that you ask me is, what should you do? Your question is, what should you do at that point, right?
Yeah.
And my answer is, it's a personal experience, family.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do whatever you feel you need to do.
But I never get a chance to. It's like it's what am I supposed to do? I got to hurry up. I got to figure this out. what was it?
Only thing I can do is I can explain to you what's happening when that happens, right?
Okay, let me just say this, and I'll let you go, okay? I'll let you go with it. Remember the movie Denzel had when he was doing Deja Vu?
Yeah.
And they was able to, technology-wise, turn...
Exactly, in New Orleans, the woman, right, I remember.
And see around. So when I'm in a Deja Vu, I'm trying to see what the whole thing, and I can't see. If I can see a little more, I can figure it out, but it's too late. It's gone.
Yes, exactly. Well, see, what's happening, thank you. What's happening is this, is that it's just frequencies and dialing. Like when you call into this class, you dial specific numbers. If you'd got one number wrong, you'd got somebody else on the phone, right? Okay, so everything has a frequency. So if we have two TVs side by side, brother, and they both on cable, and then you looking at channel 24 and I'm looking at channel 19, even though we have the same cable and the same TV, identical setup side by side, we're seeing two entirely different pictures. Are you following me? Experiencing two different realities. Yours could have Alaska, mine could have Hawaii on it, right? But if we both put it on the same channel or the same frequency, then we both get the same vision. Are you following me? So what happens is that sometimes we all agreed on this certain vibration on this plane. We vibrate basically on the same frequency, so we all have the same vision. Are you following? We share the same program, same vision. But what happens is inadvertently sometimes your spiritual self will raise up in vibration and give you random access into other dimensions, right? And it's no different than you and I talking on the phone, and all of a sudden you have 10,000 calls going through one phone line, and perfectly everything is supposed to be where there's no calls crossed, but sometimes the cab driver or some woman from Canada will get on and you say, who are you, how'd you get? I don't know, you follow what I'm saying? Or you're looking at TV, you old enough to remember, not them, when you used to look at TV and sometimes the police come over the TV, are you following me? Or the radio. And the frequencies cross like that. Well, the same thing happens with you. And when you standing there, when you raise up in vibration and you reconnect with your higher self or your higher consciousness or your all-seeing eye, not just two physical eyes, then what can you see with all? You can see all things, past, present, and future. There are no restrictions because you can use your physical eyes right now. You can't see past the wall, but if you close your spiritual eye, you can see your car parked outside, the front of your house from inside, and tomorrow and in your childhood. So sometimes when you stand there, you can see a have the sense of deja vu because seeing something in advance or in the past or the future is easy for you from that perspective. Are you following? That's all that's happening. Now, what do you do when you get there? I don't know. It's like people ask me about what do you call it, the grandfather clause. What would happen if I go back in time and kill my grandfather? Would I be born? Yes, you would.
Good.
Yeah. Who are you, brother? Because you sound familiar.
Well, you sound like part of the door in another body.
Yeah, I've been with him. He and I, every T always says on the letters, he and I are one. Who are you, brother?
My two rates are Amun.
Okay, all right. Are you one of the 24 elders?
No, I'm not.
Okay, you should be, because your mind is, you think.
I appreciate it, man. I really do, brother.
Yeah, you've been around a long time, though. No? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
Nation, etc.
I got you, okay.
I'm just listening.
Okay, well, no, you participate good. I'm enjoying you. I'm really enjoying you. Okay, next question.
Yes, Rahul Bat for the Moon.
Hey, Rahul Bat.
Hey, I want to ask you a question concerning what you were saying earlier to the brother about the out-of-body part, about him traveling outside his body.
Yeah.
Actually, do we actually do everything that we do? We travel basically through our mind.
Yeah, everything is in your mind. Everything is in your mind. You remember the example I gave you about athletes that they have them run a race, they do a 100-yard dash, and then they have them hooked up, they check out their body metabolism, their heart rate, breathing, etc. like that, and then they had them, sit down in a chair, cool and dry, and then they hooked them up with electrodes to sensitive equipment and asked them to go inside their mind with their eyes closed and relive the race in vivid detail. Every aspect of it, to really get involved in it, and the way their heart raced and all their pulses and the perspiration and the breathing, everything was recorded on the machine identical when they really did it. In other words, they achieved orgasm, right? Without racing. So yes, the answer is the short answer is yes. It's all in your mind.
Because I know Father Bill always said that our journey is within, so our journey is within our mind.
Exactly. It is that you're turning yourself inside out in your perspective, not physically. You can't reach up your butt and do that. I'm just saying turning yourself inside out in your perspective, because what happens is that when you say to your child and you in the kitchen, hey, who are you talking to there, Dad? And you let him say, you caught me, I'm in here talking to myself. What the problem is, you identify with the myself as this is me, the physical form, the lower aspect, instead of the I that you consider basically a vague, ethereal, non-existent mythological aspect of yourself, whimsically, that doesn't really exist. It's not really you, the I. But the truth is the I is you. You know, that could be not just the nice letter of the alphabet, but also E-Y-E, the all-seeing at the top of the pyramid with the nasal cavity when you face the mirror, right? Or I, God in the temple, not a building, not people, the face on the side of your next to your ear, right? I. This I am talking to myself. Both of you, I and myself, but you identify with the myself, or the natural, or the physical form, the Jalsat, as this is me. That's the problem, that's the root of the difficulty, that's the difficulty at the root of the problem. So you have to turn yourself inside on your perspective and realize that the I is me and the illusion is the myself. Are you following me?
Right.
Because our perception is that the myself is me. This is me. This when I look in the mirror, see that thing. Who is that in the mirror? That's me right there. No, it's not. If I ask you to close your eyes while you face the mirror, can you still see yourself with your eyes closed if you want to?
Yes.
The one that I'm talking to and about is the one that's seeing while both those eyes are closed. Who is that?
The I.
That is who? H-U, the creative force of will. And you can't get form that was formless, because that one can see, but you can't see him. Are you following me?
Right.
That's right. That's him. That's Big Daddy back there, Big Mama. That's the one that shot Tuesday and put Wednesday to bed. That's Fee-Fi-Fo-Fum. That's it.
The reflect.
The body is the reflection. It's a reflection of your thoughts. You created your thoughts in your imagination. What's the first word in imagination? Image. Right. Image and likeness. Right?
Right.
You're creating these things. It's all in your mind.
So that's what the image and likeness is. Actually, we're the image and likeness of all.
Well, no. Well, you can't get form that was formless. All it is you creating the image inside your mind. It's the same thing as if I ask you to think of a picture of a woman that you never met before, a beautiful woman, and then you look up and to the left, and you might say, that's the Om vibration. You're in the creating move, right? Then you that Om. You see with your hand on your chin, and you look up to the left, and that means you're creating right then. And when you get this image in your imagination, it's vivid and clear. If I have a blank easel, you run to it and you start drawing this picture while it's fresh in your mind. You get so involved or wrapped up in your work that I might call your name 2 or 3 times. You can't hear me till I tap you on the shoulder. You say, oh, Brother Amun, Amun. You see, that's what happened with this physical creation. You're the one that created it, but you got so wrapped up in your work and still are in your own project, you forgot you're the creator of it.
Right.
That's what time it is, time to remind you of that. And that's all I'm here to help connect the dots. Like the master teacher told me on the telephone, right here in this place I'm in right now. He called me and he said, Akbi, don't forget, you and I have to finish raising 144,000.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Trying to wake people up to get them to remember what they've forgotten, because you, as a in other words, there's nothing you don't already know. You want it all in what?
All in one.
So how much knowledge do you have? What part of the knowledge do you have? All of it.
All of it.
I'm in all, and how much knowledge is in, and all is in me.
Right.
You see, your perception and turn yourself inside out is that you imagine yourself as being the big black universe. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. But the reality of it is that when you close your eyes physically, you see that blackness that you see? Guess what it is? That's the universe, or the multiverses. That's the canvas that you create all your creations on. Because you can see the sun in there right now with your eyes closed if you want, can't you, at night?
That's right.
And you can see partners there walking up and down that sandy beach or in Brooklyn teaching. You can see that.
I agree.
Yeah, and you can see yourself in there. You in there. I'm in all, and all is in me. So if you're in all, you can see yourself in there too.
You also there.
That's I am in all. You are in all, and all is in me. So all of it's in you. So anything that you focus on is in there. They got things in there that you've never experienced in your memory, but they're in there because you've had dreams about people you never met before in physical life, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm in all, and all is in me. right?
And then I noticed that how they got it, that we to know each other, but we already knew each other.
We just forgot. That's what the insight. In other words, it's just a cold dose of amnesia. That's all it is.
Okay.
That's what he means by the reawakening of the elite few. In other words, we've like fallen asleep. Somebody is, what do you call that? Sleeping Beauty or Gulliver or something, something to that effect.
Sleeping Beauty, right?
You know what I mean? Rumpelstiltskin or somebody. I don't know who they're talking about. They're not talking to us, huh? Right.
No, they're not talking to us.
They ain't talking to us.
No.
Somebody Rumpelstiltskin.
And this has been on the run, so how do we wake ourselves up?
That's what you're doing right now, because when you dial into this frequency, to this class, for example, that means that your oversoul is begging to wake up, and it's insisting on it right now. Are you following me? You are going to wake up because you insist on it. If you didn't want to wake up, you would have religious pursuits, right?
Right.
You would be going back into some more yellow with pork without bow, trying to remember going to classes where they teach you what size shoes Jesus, but you remember all the names of this, right? Like, what you going to do with that? Actually, you got people that know everything about nothing.
That's right.
But they got a handful of, they know everything about nothing. I can't eat that. What am I going to do? Now, when I learn all that, honestly, what am I going to do with that?
Nothing.
It's like learning mastering trigonometry, right? I got you. When was the last time you really used it in a practical way in life? I'm trying to remember how to do. I'm not content to remember that I am God. I'm trying to remember how to do the things that God knows how to do. To me, that's reality. That's what I'm after. That's ego, just remembering I'm God. What does that mean? I can't eat that. I need to know how to remember how to do the things that God does. Are you following me? In other words, you have an Illuminati, the divine incarnated in flesh like Yahshua HaMashiach, then he remembers that this is an illusion. He has control over his consciousness, as he's vibrating in such a high consciousness that he has control over it. So that means he can raise the dead, walk on water, levitate, like the master teacher, right? Answer any question, of course, okay? Because they know.
Holy Tablets, Chapter 7, Tablet 1, verse 188. And in the perfection of your spiritual growth, you will become likened to him. Those of you here which cannot or will not develop into the chosen one must perish. Speaking about the Master. For it is the source of your error. It is the cause of your misery. Those who, through flashes of intuitive illumination from a higher source, and are able to perceive that which the ordinary human perceives not, the chosen is that one who finds his normal consciousness level. You hear that? Reflect on consciousness level. Consciousness level. Conscious. To reawaken. Remember. Zachar, verse 194 goes on to say, expressing a bright light from within the inner sun at the seat of the solar plexus. This plane is the midway plane between the human being and the supreme being, where all those of the ancient mystical order of Melchizedek spiritually meet, where they adorn their crimson crown, and you listen to hear the tassel bell of happiness sound, where their heart is wrapped with the noble sash, a token of authority, dignity, power, honor, and reward. One is a symbol of glory and remembrance of their great path. Remembrance, as they raise in height from degree to degree. 720 is what they will be. 360 master of the physical, and all 360 opens the way to the spiritual hall. 7 and 20, 9 to the 9th power of 9. At this point, you become Lord over space and time, knowing no depth and no height, raised from the darkness of ignorance to the intellectual light, endures all temptations when he has tried a crown that is his own. The jacket with the wings of an angel is worn. Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed.
That there's no such thing as the physical. If you know that there's no such thing as physical reality, then how can you be subject to the laws of gravity? Right? Because when they become vibrating on a spiritual frequency, if you take water, that's a liquid, and if you slow it down, slow the vibrations down by putting it in the freezer, then it drops down to a solid you call ice. Is that correct? But if you take that same water and put it on a pot on a high fire on the stove and turn it up, then it starts vibrating fast. See how fast the water starts tumbling? Then it starts transforming from a liquid into a gas that you call steam. And if you leave it on there long enough, you won't see water, steam, or ice. And I ask you what you say, well, nothing in the pot. But you can't get nothing from something. It's only energy in transit. So that if you, like I say, if you turn the fire off, the kitchen cools down, the water condensates, droplets on the ceiling, and then you can take that water and put it back in the glass and back in the freezer, slow it down, and turn it back into ice again. That's angels ascending and descending up and down Jacob's ladder. That's all.
That's right.
Yeah. The kingdom of heaven is where? Inside of me. So that means that everything is in heaven. God's in heaven, right?
So that when Jacob had the vision, you'll remember one of the first songs they taught you in kindergarten, We are climbing Jacob's ladder way up high. Somebody was woke.
Right, of the angels ascending and descending up and down the ladder. When he saw that, right, he was asleep, his eyes was closed. So where was this happening at?
Within him.
That's where everything is. That's why the master's telling you make the journey what?
Within.
That's right. Or turn yourself inside out. He's putting it in a lot of different ways.
That's right.
Yes. But they keep on trying to go further out there and learn more about out there. That's what I mean by knowing everything about nothing. Ain't no out there, nigga.
Ain't nothing out there.
It ain't nothing. It's all in you. I'm in all in what?
All that's in.
I don't know what they're looking for out there. Because everything out there is a reflection of what's going on inside of you, including me. I'm in you, and you and I are one. That's what they understood, Joshua, because he said, when you see me, what?
See the ball.
That's right, and I and my Father are
one.
Oh, man, they want to bust him in the head with bricks. Blasphemy, this. And then he told me, he said, no, said it not unto thee that ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. It's still in the Swizer situation, still to make him feel no better. They still want to nail him up, right? He has lost his mind. Everybody knows God is a bald-headed white man with a beard in the clouds out there.
Amun.
And they say the same book that they believe in says the kingdom of heaven is inside you. I'm showing you how confused they are. They'll go outside into the forest and cut down trees and make a wooden cross and a plaster Paris Jesus painted up. And after they make that, they erect it to the ground and stand around and worship it as if it's their creator. Nigga, you know you just made that. Stop playing games. Go ahead.
That's right. Okay, my car windows just Friday they got busted out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out if my car was just sitting on the street.
You in Detroit, baby. You in Detroit, Michigan. There's some bad people there, too.
I'm trying to figure out, is it anything that I did, or...
Now, the one asking the question knows better than the one being asked, right?
I mean, now, I haven't done anything. You know, I'm just trying
my question is, where did the question come from? So, like the master told me, if it's on Easter and your woman walk out and she say, baby, with your back to this dress too short, tell her, yeah, go change it. How you know? Because you asked.
But I'm trying to figure out...
What you did.
What? I mean, so you did something to get... Because somebody busted out my car windows, I guess they were trying to steal my car. The guy upstairs scared him away, my neighbor. So that was the blessing.
That was a blessing.
Okay, because they didn't steal the car because he scared him away.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying
Well, now, let's say this. They didn't steal it this time because they did steal it before.
Right.
And so you had angst about that. Remember, you created that situation. I showed it to you before.
And I understood that.
Okay, but see what it is that that thought is still persistent. You still have that same anxiety. And see, what happens is a lot of times we create a negative reality by default because we forget that we're creating our own reality. So, in other words, if you keep on trying to lose weight and you say to yourself, you keep telling yourself, I got to lose weight. The problem with that reality is that you're creating is that you have to be overweight in order to lose it. So you can't lose weight. Are you following me?
Mm-hmm.
As a woman told me before, she said, Brother Ockman, I want you to write me some chants and talismans so you can get me to get over my fear of the devil and darkness. I said, I can't do that. She was shocked. I said, because if I got you chanting about getting rid of darkness and the fear of the devil, what's going to be on your mind constantly? She walking around getting rid of the devil, getting rid of the devil. Okay. No, I said, what I want you to do is focus on creating light inside your mind, create light. And positive and good things, keep your mind full of those things. Because when you turn the light on, what happens to the dark automatically?
It goes away.
All right, so I'm not trying to get rid of darkness. I'm turning on the light, and as a result, the darkness goes. That's my point.
Okay, so what? Give me that.
I'm trying to say that you have to start thinking positive about your car. You got a negative thing in your mind that you're fearful that something's going to happen to you. You have angst about it. You're apprehensive. You got fearful about your car. You're not easy or settled about it. And you see, and the more you grit and grind and anticipate that, I mean, I bet sometimes you go to the window and you kind of look, or you go outside and when you see it, you're glad it's still there.
Right.
Because you see, listen to me. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Ask me how I know that. Because the rest of us are not like that. How do I know that about you? It's because you create a situation where it's been stolen twice. Anytime we see a guy, he goes to jail every time. time you see him, and the rest of us it's not happening to us. So a woman is with a man that's kicking her butt every time she get a man. Every new man is beating up, she's attracting that. Bad luck, nigga. That woman ain't got no bad luck. She's got bad negative thoughts about that.
Okay, so I'm trying to reverse this.
That's what you got to do. Start thinking positive about that situation right there. Just start telling yourself the obvious thing. Feel your mind. You see, your mind is just like this. The way I'm gonna help you with this right now. What you do is I want you to take and learn how to, whenever you start thinking negative or feeling anxiety inside your mind, whenever your feelings is what the truth is, that's the barometer for what you create. Whenever you have a bad feeling, then you're creating something mentally negative that's against you. Whenever you feel good, keep thinking that same thought. In other words, whenever you feel bad, check your thoughts, because you're thinking negative and you create the negative reality. Believe what I tell you, that's a fact. So what you do is from now on, I want you right now, when you get off this phone tonight, I want you to take a positive thought and think about your car and think of a very positive thought about it, and I want you to put it inside your mind, in a place in your mind as a golden brick. You know how a regular red brick is about the size of a brick? You hear me? Mm-hmm. I want you to take that thought, that positive thought, about your car is safe all the time and it's always with you. It's there whenever you want. You put that thought and you turn it into a gold brick and you put it someplace in your mind, right? And every time that you have a negative or fearful thought about your car, decide to go to the window see if it's out there, then what I want you to do is to pull that brick up and just focus on that brick, that gold brick. Are you following me? Until you can't see nothing but that brick. Just focus on that brick, that gold brick that's got all these positive thoughts about you riding free on the highway, you and your car, that's it, and you can see yourself when you're going to take the trade in for your new one. You follow me? Mm-hmm. And then you just substitute those negative thoughts for that until you just train your mind, because you've created a groove inside your mind. Just like old 38 record when it's scratching it, whoop, 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 whoop. You got trapped in that. Your car, people keep stealing your car and trying to steal it. Are you following me? Because you're anticipating that. You remember you was at the party and your friend made a joke about somebody gonna stole your car or gonna steal something out of it or something? Mm-hmm. That nigga planted that seed in your mind.
And I see what happened with that thing.
Okay, but you didn't see the connection between that and this one here. But before you had time to think, hypothesize, or conjecture, when I told you that you was going to the window every now and then and look to see if your car was still there, when you go out to it, you're glad it's still there, then you realize that you're still apprehensive about your car, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's in your mind. It's no different. A seed can be planted like you talking to somebody and they say, come on, man, let's go.
A person who wants to lose weight, they need to just constantly view themselves as being skinny, right?
Not skinny. That's not healthy either. But yeah, you have to visualize yourself and the way that you want to be, the way that you expect to be, the way that you're going to be, and you do not believe it, but actually know it, because belief is weak too. Are you following me? Now, what you have to do, I sent you a CD called Malachi Surprise, but what you have to do is learn in visualization. That's a tool for God. That's how you create things bring things into existence. Couldn't say to a thing being it is. And you have to visualize things, to picture things in your mind. You can't do it in 2 dimensions like a picture, because the picture got height and width, and a 3-dimensional reality can't reproduce a 2-dimensional object. Are you following me? So you have to learn how to visualize things in 3 dimensions where it's got height, width, and depth. So if you're trying to create a car, when you see the car, don't see it like a picture. You got to be able to see it in 3 dimensions where you can walk around and sit inside and smell the leather starting up and start driving down the highway and turn the radio on and listen to the song. You got to get really involved in that car. Are you following it? Smell the newness of the seats and this, that, and the other. Now, and try to hold that vision for at least 59 seconds, because as soon as you think of something, whether it's negative or positive, the universe starts creating for you right away. You are the source. You are the creator. And all your thoughts are made manifest. But what happens is when you think and visualize that car, what it is, then all of a sudden, doubt comes in, and you say to yourself, yeah, but in my situation, I can't, then you uncreate it right away, you see. I know I'm going to get a house. The Christians say, I claim it in the name of Jesus, and I claim it, that, the other. Then somebody tell them, but look at you. You don't make $4 an hour. You can't. That's right, child. And then they like that guy on what you call it, Wiley Collins run off the cliff, and he's walking on the air. Then he stops and remembers, oh, that's right, I can't fly. Then he falls. Simon Peter, you already walked all the way to the man. Then the wind was high, the waves were exceptionally choppy. He glanced to the side for an instant, he began to doubt. Then he started saying to Jesus to pull him up, oh, he's so little faith. But he had walked all the way to the man on the water.
What is all of this going on in Egypt?
What's going on in Egypt right now is there's going to be a transference of power that they try to Mubarak stealing, and he's trying to put his soul in the sea too to keep up the same old nasty habit right there. That's all. See, what happens is this, that these Illuminati are really controlling the world. They're pulling the strings of it, but there's a shadow being that's in a dimension that's really controlling them. They're really puppets too, these presidents and kings and different people like that. The Rothschilds and all that. The Illuminati are actually being puppets too for the shadow beings, right? But what happens is that the time is up. Their time is up. And see, this is the information age, right? It's easy to manipulate and control people. When you control the information, you control the media because everybody's being programmed. People say, I'm not being programmed. And then while you try to explain it to them, they look at their watch and say, wait a minute, I want to hear you, but I got to hurry home because I'm missing my favorite what?
Program.
I know it, nigga. You being programmed. You don't believe you being programmed, and that makes you deeper under the spell of people that realize and recognize it, right? So what happens is this is the information age, and these computers are on, and they got internet and all that, and so that they can send out any message that they want, but you can find and research and get information that you want that's finding people are getting on there independently, that's not under their control, and they tell the truth, and it's all over the place. Are you following me? So you can't control people unless you can control their minds. So what was the first thing? As soon as that started happening, people started rioting and showing off and started trying to attack the palace. What was the first thing they cut off in Egypt?
Internet.
They cut the internet right off, don't you hear me? Because they realized where it's coming from.
But it didn't stop them.
It didn't stop it because the people already have the information inside of them. Then they started finding other ways to access the internet, but that's where it's coming from.
That's right.
Information is going to stop the devil. That's what's killing him right now. It's like throwing the light on a vampire. It's burning him up. It's killing him. Sure, you can control people when you're the only one in their ear, but how you going to be a vampire operating in broad, bright daylight? You hear what I'm saying? And the truth is the light. The truth is everywhere. It's just booming from the mountaintops, right? You can see the devil is becoming the incredible shrinking, what you call him now, little fella, right? He used to be big and powerful and this, that, and the other, but now when you pull the curtain back in the land of Oz, he's just a little cat that's kicking on a stool. His feet don't even touch the floor no more. That's it. He on a big microphone making, "I say," but really it's just a little cat there on the stage. Yeah. And I like my daddy used to say, "Don't make me laugh."
I like to share an experience.
Go ahead.
Here you go. He's a leprechaun.
Guess what he is? He's a leprechaun. He's a con and leper, right? Exactly. That's right. But his charm's not so lucky no more. That's it. What's the experience, brother?
Well, there was this woman that worked for the post office, and I was around her when she was pregnant with her little son. Anyway, years went by, and I left things. Anyway, I ran into the woman, and I asked her how her son was doing. And she said fine and everything. And her son had really taken a liking to me, and I was teaching her son at the age of 11 and 12 years old. So I kept asking about her son, and the next thing I know, about 4 or 5 days later, I bumped right into her son.
Right. You created that.
Because I was asking
that's right. A lot of you all that had conversations, and here they walk up. Look, prophet, we talked you up, right? Okay. Let me give you an example about how powerful the mind is. I know as a child, and some of you heard me say this before. I was in Detroit one time, and I was in the room, and it was dark, and it was lightning and thunder, and I was a little afraid as a child, but I wasn't a child, but I was a young man, but it was just lightning, I had a thing about it. But anyway, way back there at that time, some of y'all don't remember, we had the jackets with that light up, what you call it, beads and things all over, fluorescent things, and every time the lightning strike, I saw that coat light up on the back of that door right there, that coat light up there. It looked like I went into an altered state of mental reality, right? And all of a sudden, I had a friend, a partner of mine that was in the military that was in Cleveland, Ohio. And I could see him playing. It was like I was standing across the street from this bar. He was coming out the door. I was standing across the street. I was in that place, standing across the street. It was dark. He was coming out the bar. And then he was counting a lot of money. And 3 cats got behind him and started walking behind him. And he was so involved counting the money going toward his car, he didn't realize they were there. I don't know whether he got his furlough money, whatever, but he had a lot of money. boy, these three cats jumped on him and started kicking and beating him down, and I'm talking about they wasn't having no mercy, and you could tell they was going to go all the way, right? They was going to not just rob him, but they was being malicious and vicious. They was going to take him out. They was stomping him like that. So I got so excited. It's my partner. I broke and ran across the street, and I started snatching these niggas off him and kicking these niggas, fighting them and beating and hitting these guys. And they finally just jumped and run, and I was making so much noise that they just broke and ran. And then I called the ambulance, and then the ambulance came and picked him up. And then I woke up back in my room, right, in Detroit. I woke up sweating, breathing hard, man. I was looking to see if my clothes was torn, but they wasn't, right? So I get on the phone, and I call his sister. Oh, man, I'm so glad to hear you just don't know what happened to Robert right now. Oh, we don't know if he's going to make it or not. I said, wait, let me see what happened. Somebody robbed him? She said, how'd you know that? Where you at? I said, I'm in Detroit. I gave all the details of it, so they put us to the hospital, and then when I got him on the phone, when he finally came out of it, where he could talk, right? He was on the phone, he was telling me, he said, man, he said, I'm so glad you was there. If it wouldn't have been for you, man, I'd be dead right now, man. I don't know how I could ever repay you enough like that. He said, how did you know I was there? I said, man, you ain't gonna believe this. I was in bed in Detroit. We haven't figured it out yet. Tell me about the mind. And a lot of y'all have experienced things that you can't figure out right now.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah, but that's the mind. Yeah, you can talk somebody up. See, when the brother was saying he talked a little kid up, I understand that. You can do that, and it can go further than that.
Well, I got one.
Let me hear it.
I almost drowned in 64. Dear friend of mine, came and got me.
How old were you? How old were you in 64?
I was 19.
Yeah, you're an old man. Go ahead. Come on to the club. Come on to the club, right? You welcome. Welcome home. Welcome back.
But I went down 3 times. You know, make a long story short, the 3rd time I went down, my mother came to mind. I couldn't talk. I was trying to swallow my, that's why I knew we had gills. I was like,
that's right. That's right.
And the sun, and the bubbles came through. There was a lot of light from the sun and the bubbles. And once you try it again, and I was telling my friends, what the hell have you been? He was telling, yes, help for the help the God, which he was the Tamaru, Tanuki, or with his girlfriend, they wouldn't come. So he went down under and pushed me forward. I got to shore, in other words, because it was a step off.
Now, what is your point? Now, see, one time I was in New Orleans, I was a little bitty kid, right? A little bitty child. I must have been about three years old or something like that. And my father was the kind of man, he was a kind of a rough character. So him and my mother sitting out at Punch and Train Beach on those big cement stairs, for those that know, and he jumps up and throw me out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico as far as he could to teach me how to swim and sit back down. And I went straight to the bottom, right? Now, I'm sitting under the water, just standing up in the water, and I can see, I'm breathing, I see fish swimming by, all that, and I'm looking at all this, I'm not even panicked, right? You're right, we got gills. Like on the commercial where they see the babies breathing underwater. I was breathing underwater. Some people said, I knew that guy was a reptile. No, but I'm saying I was breathing underwater. And then it was a white sailor rolled up his pants and ran out there and got me and brought me up there. My father never did move off the steps.
Ain't that something?
Ain't that something?
But this brother went, and he got on shore and tried to push the water out. He said, let it up, spit it out. Damn, as long as you was under that water, man, you didn't swim no water. I told him to take me home, right?
Yeah.
Because I thought about my mom. Said, take me home first. So when I got home, so they wouldn't go call her and tell her I was almost drowned. She'd always tell me, I better not catch you near that water, when I was a little boy, too. The mother, she took me to the beach and wouldn't want me to go near the water.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to kill you if I catch you near that water. But anyway, so I got home, right? So I'm going to go in the door. I said, y'all go ahead and leave, like that, right? So I go to the door. My mother opened the door and said, come on in here. You almost drowned, didn't you? I know.
Ain't that something?
Like that.
Ain't that something?
So now, the same brother now, he got shot up in 71 when I was in the Nation of Islam. My mother told me I got bad news for you. There's nothing you can do. The doctor gave up on him. I went and looked at him. I said, man, don't make sense. You saved me from drowning. And now you can't even talk. You got tubes all in your stuff. Don't make sense. You leave like this. Do it. He looked at me with his eyes. The next time I seen him, he wasn't for to walk or nothing. He's still alive, still around.
That's right. It's all in the mind. That's right.
Oh, beautiful, brother.
See, Joshua, you got him to take up his bed right there. It was all in his mind. But don't you see, for example, of one of the parables, one of the in the Bible, one of the stories, the biblical stories that I really like is, for example, the woman that suffered from issue of blood for 7 years, and she was dying. You know, I mean, imagine bleeding for 7 years. She was weak. She couldn't even stand up. But they heard that the Messiah was coming to town, and he was walking through the middle of the street with his disciples, and the crowd was so heavy and so thick, when she was on the ground, she couldn't even see him because she was on the ground, but she was crawling through people's legs, and she was thinking to herself as slow as she was crawling, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, I know I'll be made whole. And she kept crawling till she crawled and reached her little trembling, weak hand out there, just when he was passing by. And as it whisked on by, she managed to touch the tip of the hem of his garment. And in that instant, that woman stood up, that blood stopped, and she was whole. Now, Jesus knew somebody had touched him, but he didn't know who. So when he asked the disciples, he said, who was it that touched me? So how did he heal her specifically, and he didn't even know who it was, right? And when she said, it was I who touched the hem of your garment, he said, then woman, by your faith may ye be made whole. Got it? Because mentally, she knew that if she just touched the hem of his garment, she would be healed. She knew that.
Excellent point.
That's it.
Somebody else can take us higher. I know it's somebody out there can take us higher.
Yeah.
And flying and everything.
Of course you have, because that's what you do. You see, the reason I'm saying that is because the spirit it ascends upward. You know, a spirit is not held down, bound by gravity. It's controlled by the laws of attraction. Are you following me? The laws of attraction, levity, not. So in other words, wherever your focus is, where the spirit goes, is whatever you're thinking about, right? That's why when you have water, it drops down on the ground, or even ice when it vibrates slow. It just when you drop it, it's attractive. But when you put it on a fire and it vibrates on a faster frequency, it transforms from a liquid into a gas that you call steam. And what does it do? Does it drop to the ground?
Nope.
So that steam is like an ether or specter or like a ghost or a fog. You see, it's not gravity. It's lighter than air. You see, it's less dense, and so it's not bound by gravity. That's why spiritual. When you're a spiritual being, you can levitate. That's why Jesus never could walk on the water, or Nietzsche afraid to have to wake and levitate. Because everybody found he's a spiritual master, to say the least. He is the spiritual master. Anybody else have any questions tonight? We never did get a chance to do the things I wanted to do tonight because I have a lot of things I want to places I want to bring y'all, but it's your class and we always go where y'all want to go, and I love it. Because one thing about it, y'all have me taking you places that when it gets to unfold and I'm listening to it and I'm glad to hear it too. Ain't that something?
Yeah, but I do want you to continue on with the program. It's your show, and
no, it's not. That's the thing. It's not mine. It's you all, and I know that. You follow me? I'm here for y'all.
But I just want to see what you had up. You know.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do it next time. I'm kind of burnt right now, so I'm getting ready to let y'all go. But look, y'all got my personal home number. Anybody want to get some spiritual packages so that you can start remembering how to do the things that God does? I have some guidelines, some things that I can put together, some DVDs and CDs and certain information as those here can. Who can bear witness to those packages? The effectiveness of them.
Yeah, I can bear witness to them. Real.
Okay.
Create your own reality.
That's right. That's what they do. Yeah. Derek, I never did get that either. You know.
Real deal.
Yeah. They are the. Say it again.
Those spiritual packages are the real deal.
All right. I know they're the real deal.
Create your own reality.
That's right. So people that don't believe it, give me a call on that at 478-454-4004, and I'll hook you up. I got some brother and sister that drove all the way from Florida right now in front of me right now. So let me go to work on them and finish getting them what they want, because she got to go to school in Florida in the morning, right? But look, I love y'all. You know that. You know I love you, and I know we won. So let's keep elevating. Each one teach one. Bring more people to class here.
The phone number again is 478?
Yeah, 454-4004. How did you find out about my class, Elder?
He was that gave me that number. My son.
Okay, very good. Okay. Yeah, I was back there with Minister Larry Lewis Farquhar, and I met him and Betsy in the motel room, and met Minister X and Pastor Larry and all of them in Phoenix. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Right, how to eat to live and everything. I had to go through that school first, too.
Huh? Well, then you went to the...
Of course, I was there. I had to get off the cross first, though.
I hear that.
I had to put that squealing pig down first, you know what I'm saying? All right, then.
Brother Moon.
Yes.
Before you go, the package is $100, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, I just want to make sure we want to order once in a while.
Okay, just call me when you're ready to get my address. Well, I do. I love you.